watching KCPQ 13, home of Super Bowl 31.
In nearly 30 years since Vince Lombardi stalked the Packers sidelines, a new legend is developing on the frozen tundra, and his name is Holmgren. New York is calling Bill Parcells, but he'd like to get his third championship ring before leaving New England. And we'll have an exclusive interview with Eugene Robinson.
Q13 NFL Sunday Super Bowl Special is being brought to you by your Puget Sound Lexus dealer, who invites you to test drive a Lexus today. By Future Shop Discount Superstores. By Jack in the Box Restaurants. Watch out, Mac, Jack's back. And by your Northwest Dodge dealers.
New Orleans, Louisiana, the Crescent City, hard by the Mississippi River, and that is the Louisiana Superdome, which will host its Super Bowl game tomorrow at 5:18 p.m. Central Time as the Green Bay Packers meet the New England Patriots. Hello from the Hard Rock Cafe in New Orleans. I'm Keith Shipman along with Paul Moyer and Dave Grosby. We're delighted you've joined us for the Q13 NFL Sunday Super Bowl Special. Guys, we've had a great week in the Big Easy.
I tell you, it's the best time I've ever had. Matter of fact, is there a game actually being played in the next 20 hours?
There actually is going to be a game played. I think it's a game that should be played here every year. Make New Orleans the Super Bowl's permanent home.
I agree with you 100%. I tell you, this is also one of the more decadent days I've ever been in my life.
And you will see later.
That's right.
It's an intriguing matchup. The Green Bay Packers, who are laying claim to the A Real America's Team slogan, and the New England Patriots, who just 4 years ago were mired in mediocrity. Then they hired a coach named Parcells and drafted a kid named Bledsoe, and here they are in New Orleans. The Packers advanced by disposing of Carolina in the NFC Championship game. Brett Favre threw a couple of touchdown passes. A 29-yard effort to Dorsey Levens in the second tied the game at 7. Later in the second, Favre hooked up with Antonio Freeman from 6 yards out, and the route was on. Running back Edgar Bennett carried 25 times, ended up a yard shy of the century mark. He scored on a 4-yard run late in the game. Green Bay 30, Carolina 13, the score as the Packers advance to the Super Bowl for the first time in 29 years. Brett Favre coming off a 19 of 29 performance, 292 yards, and a pair of touchdowns. The Patriots are in New Orleans after scoring a 20-6 victory over Jacksonville in the AFC Championship game. Curtis Martin's 1-yard touchdown plunge in the first gave New England the lead. They added a pair of field goals, and then they let the defense put the game away. The Patriots' Otis Smith returned a fumble 47 yards for a touchdown. New England's defense hasn't allowed a touchdown during the playoffs. 20-6 the final. Bledsoe was 20 of 33, 170 yards. New England back in the Super Bowl now for the first time since 1986. Well, remember back to 1992, Drew Bledsoe or Rick Meyer would become the #1 draft pick in the NFL. Seattle beat New England that year, so the Pats earned the first-round pick with the league's worst record. Seattle had the next selection. 4 years later, Bledsoe has directed New England to the Super Bowl, and he's left Seahawk fans wondering what could have been. Drew Bledsoe forever ingrained himself in Northwest football lore on a snowy November day in Pullman, when as a junior he directed the Cougars to an upset victory over cross-state rival Washington.
Still to this point is my favorite game I've ever played in. You know, we were playing against the Washington Huskies. They're ranked 5th in the nation, and it snowed 8 inches during the game, and we pulled off a huge upset, and it was a fun game. I knew I came out at the start of it, and it started snowing like that. I knew it was going to be a fun game, a memorable game, however it turned out. But as it turned out, we won the game and won it in convincing fashion, and so it is at this point my favorite sports memory.
Drew played just 28 games for the Cougars, but left with a true understanding of the underdog's role.
When I was at Washington State, when we were in college, we were an underdog in just about every game. We had a great year for Washington State. A year, my junior year, went 9-3, but you know, we were continually the underdog there, and I think that I learned to function in that role. The other thing that helped me the other thing about Washington State that helped me move into the NFL was that we threw the ball a ton, and so I had a lot of experience dropping back and throwing the football.
Bledsoe was the #1 overall selection in the 1993 draft and quickly established himself as the premier young quarterback in the National Football League. the youngest quarterback to eclipse the 10,000-yard passing plateau, younger than Dan Marino, Bernie Kosar, and Brett Favre. And it only took him 42 games to accomplish the feat. 4 short years removed from Washington State, Bledsoe is at the center of attention, near the pinnacle of the football world, quarterbacking a Super Bowl team. He's quick to deflect the attention, quick to praise his teammates, and quick to note that this is just another football game to get ready to play for.
I've had a chance to be close to some quarterbacks who have gone through this and have all of a sudden exploded into, superstars as opposed to just quarterbacks. And then I've watched it from the outside with the rest of the general public and seen how the perception changes of a quarterback who comes to the Super Bowl and has a good game. And it's something that, to be honest with you, is a little bit scary to me. If I go out on Sunday and play the way that I expect myself to play, and we have a great game and we win the football game, I'm a little bit scared of all the stuff or how my life would change because of that.
This won't be his first exposure to the Packers. Bledsoe led the Patriots to victory over Green Bay and Foxborough in 1994 en route to his first Pro Bowl appearance. He was 29 of 53 that day for 334 yards and a pair of touchdowns. Different team, different year. The Patriots go into Super Bowl 31, a 2-touchdown underdog to the Packers.
This team is using our underdog role very effectively. Number one, we don't have the same amount of demands and distractions on us that the Packers do, so we're able to focus on the game a little bit more. And second, we're using it as motivation. I think that you talk to guys on the team, and there are very few people that give us a chance to win this game, and that's serving as a real motivator for a lot of guys on the football team.
The Patriots have advanced to the Super Bowl in relative obscurity. Bledsoe brought New England out of a fog to defeat Pittsburgh and Jacksonville to advance to New Orleans.
People don't know about the rest of our team because they don't know much about our team, period. They know that Bill Parcells is our coach, and then they may know that I'm the quarterback. They may know Curtis Martin, but other than that, outside of the New England area, we're a team that not very many people know about.
Well, guys, 2 young quarterbacks, Bledsoe and Favre, the 2 budding superstars in this league, but they've gone in different directions during the postseason.
Yeah, I don't think Brett Favre's a budding superstar, Keith. He is a superstar. 2-time NFL MVP, the best quarterback in the game. Regular season, he hit 59% of his passes, has kicked it up to 69% now in the postseason. 39 touchdown passes during the regular season, 3 more of them in the playoffs. If there's any knock against him, Paul Moyer, he gets off to a slow start sometimes. Not much of a knock, though.
No, it's a very small knock. The other guy, Drew Bledsoe, everybody said he's the premier quarterback with all the talent. Look at his stats here. He completed 60% of his passes in the regular season and also the postseason. He threw for over 4,000 yards during the regular season. The one knock on him right now, he had 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions during the postseason. They're saying they can rattle him with pressure. Quite frankly, they didn't need him during the postseason. They established the running game. He's going to be fine in this game. I look for big things in a Super Bowl.
What's intriguing to me is here's Drew Bledsoe in the biggest of his career, and he still calls his biggest sports memory that Apple Cup victory over Washington in '92.
See, to me, that's a factor in this game. Drew Bledsoe has not been in a game of this magnitude, and I think Brett Favre has a little bit. Paul made a very good point. Their running game has been established. That's what both teams have to do in this one anyway. They have to run to win.
Speaking of magnitude, we've never been in a city of this magnitude. Q13 NFL Sunday is in New Orleans for Super Bowl 31, and we're coming back with more on the Old Bayou.
Fans, we got something new for you. All of y'all at KBQ. My name is Dr. Geek, now on the block. Now this is broadcasting live from Fox. Super Bowl week. Listen up this week and let me give you that lyrical treat. Friend and foe, foe and friend. The question is which team yet shall win. But I'm gonna tell you this and listen to me real swell. Never underestimate Bill Parcells. You dig where I'm coming from? Now here's the real deal. They facing those folks from Lambeau Field. My name is Dr. Geek. Now it's shocking.
You're watching June 13, NFL Sunday Super Bowl Special. Go Patriots!
The French Quarter of the Crescent City, one of America's most well-known neighborhoods, and that's Fox Field you're looking at. I'm Keith Shipman along with Paul Moyer and Dave Grosby at Super Bowl 31 in New Orleans. Patriots.
Guys, you know, 6 players, Super Bowl 31, have ties to the Northwest. Now, of course, everyone knows about Drew Bledsoe and Eugene Robinson. Here's a trivia question for you. Can you name the other 4? Super Bowl Media Day provides startling contrasts. The guy at the bottom of the depth chart gets little attention, while just a few steps away, the world is zeroing in on the stars. Few people outside the state of Wisconsin know who the Packers' third-string quarterback is, but folks in Whatcom County do.
Yeah, it is. It's a long way from Ferndale High School, and I've come a long way in the last 10 years.
Peterson played for Vic Randall at Ferndale High in the early 80s. He went cross-country to start for Northeast Louisiana for 3 years and signed with the Dolphins as a free agent, where he spent parts of 3 seasons under Don Shula. Then landed in Green Bay last fall.
This is great. You know, came in Sunday, and it's just been first class all the way. We haven't seen or experienced anything like this all year. And having the opportunity, I mean, this is my 4th year in the league now, and having the chance to be a part of this game and the week is phenomenal. Remember this the rest of your life.
A pair of Cougars will shoot for a Super Bowl ring. Chris Hayes spent the first half of the season on Green Bay's practice squad and was activated in early December. The Apple Cup to the Super Bowl in 12 short months.
Washington State ain't touching Green Bay's coldness, man. It's real cold in Green Bay. When we left, it was like -2 with the wind chill -45. So I wasn't kind of used to that, man. Washington, I ain't never seen it drop that low.
Chad Eaton made headlines in Pullman as an all-conference defensive tackle and with memorable comments. You know, he really hasn't changed at all.
I have to thank Buddy Ryan, you know, to start it off. I tell him thanks for cutting me. And, you know, then I floated around the league a little bit. Finally found a friend and a coach in Bill Belichick, and he's pretty much taking care of me.
And a lot of folks from the old Lincoln High School neighborhood in Tacoma will be tuned in Sunday, keeping an eye on Lawyer Malloy, who passed on his senior year at Washington. A tough pill for Husky fans to swallow, but the right decision for Lawyer and his family.
You know, they're all going to be here wearing their new colors. You know, they've been wearing purple and gold so long, and now, with me at University of Washington, now they're wearing red, white, and blue. And they're all excited, caravanning down here. And,
is that right?
Yeah, it's a trip. I had to get a lot of flights too, so.
Well, what a great move Lawyer Malloy made. A year ago, he was trying to decide whether or not to pass on his senior year at Washington. Here he is starting in the Super Bowl.
You know, I got a chance to watch him on film his sophomore and junior year. The guy was a solid tackle, never missed tackles. The guy was ready for the NFL, and he made a great decision.
I'll tell you guys something else. Bill Parcells has compared him this week to Ronnie Lott, and it was his insertion into the starting lineup. Had a lot to do with the Patriots defense turning things around.
Now, as it is, there's plenty to do in New Orleans during Super Bowl week, but an event like this brings many other activities. Among the most popular, the NFL Experience. It's an opportunity for fans to put their money where their mouth is. Among the athletic legends in our own minds that we are, Paul the Graz and I tackled the NFL Experience this week.
6, 7, all right, here we go. Moyer, a better stance. Shipman clearly with the bulk advantage. We'll see if that can for him. They're ready to go. The flag is up. Oh, Moyer, my goodness. Moyer gets all the way to the end, but so does Ship. Oh, down goes Shipman. Down goes Shipman. Down goes Shipman. Like Howard Cosell calling Frazier there. That was one of the funnier things I've ever seen. What do you attribute your victory to?
Technically, Reggie White tried to get me, but hey.
Sir?
Wait a minute, I think we have a judge.
We have a judge. What do you say?
Technically, he won.
Well, you know, here's the thing.
One for one.
1 for 1.
I picked
They
Ship.
never said, okay, on 3, guys.
Oh, you cheated.
I was on the offense. We quick snapped them.
So you cheated.
I won.
No.
I won.
Well, the guy says you cheated.
You were offside.
And you were offside.
You got beat by Thunder Thighs, pal.
That's
Live
what
up to it. It happens.
0 for 1, Paul. Time to move on.
Oh! Hey,
He
we got a
missed.
shot. He missed.
He missed.
We actually have a chance.
Hot
He missed.
dog.
We have a chance. Ready?
All right, well done. Hey.
I got to be able to do this, right? This isn't hard, is it? That doesn't even come out there
I
fast.
can do it. Easy.
You can do it. All right.
Uh-oh. I now have a commanding 2-1-0 lead. What happened?
I got hosed. I got hosed. I mean, everyone's went all the way to the, no one's went all the way to the netting but mine. I got hosed. I protest.
This is all so sad.
So, shotgun. Here we go. Ready?
Oh, man.
These two. Start.
All right, Paul.
Paul, no pressure here.
You know something, Paul? You're showing the camera your best side, too. I don't think you've ever looked better. Oh! Very good.
I think that's over.
Very good.
Not yet.
Oh, wait a minute.
Stop.
High, a little too high?
A little off the side.
Groin injury too low.
Groin injury.
Listen, it had nothing to do with your coaching, believe me. Nothing at all to do with your coaching.
I concede. I think Keith, the athlete that he is, should be declared the winner. Didn't actually win an event, but disqualifications does count. Now,
I think the
runner-up.
two of you are pathetic.
Runner-up, right here, the Graz, the man, the athlete.
You know, normally I'd be offended by that, but what's the point? I think my performance spoke for itself. I belong behind the mic. Let's head over to the radio booth and see what happens, big man.
And I would come to third, and you guys would declare me the winner.
Let's go have a hot dog eating contest. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
And now we have evidence that Paul Moyer actually played in the National Football League, and here it is. Paul, of course, played for the Seahawks in the 1980s. His rookie season was the year they went to the AFC Championship game. It's number 21 on your screen. But Paul, who's the lady on your arm? That's not your wife, Heather.
You know, that is big-time stuff right there. It was Dan Fouts, Kellen Winslow, both Hall of Famers, winning touchdown there, 65,000.
The blonde.
Who's the blonde?
Well, that's shot. That would be, I don't know.
You don't know. It's actually former Seahawk cheerleader Debbie Harrison, who is now Shay Harrison, an actress on
Bold and the Beautiful.
You watch that stuff?
You work afternoons, you get a chance to see something, man.
Well, this, of course, is all just a warm-up for Super Bowl 31. The Packers-Patriots will do battle tomorrow at the Louisiana Superdome, a game you're going to see here on Q13 Fox. Kickoff at 3:18 Pacific Time. We're coming back to the Hard Rock Cafe in New Orleans.
This is a voodoo doll, a working voodoo doll?
Not that I know of. Unless you personalize it.
Now, personalizing it would be like if I got a photo of Paul.
Put a little Tabasco in its
piece of
mouth.
hair, article of clothing, or a photo.
Little hair, a little photo, so I put it on there. And we did it like, say we do it of Shipman, because he's not here.
There you go. We have to pull the hair off.
You gotta find a little Keith Shipman face and put it on there. And then what do we do to him?
We pull the hair off.
You can stick.
He doesn't have any hair.
Put some hair on.
Now that's what we could do.
Put a cheese head.
Now that's what we could do, is we could put that.
Hello, I'm Eugene Robinson here out in New Orleans and you're the Q13 NFL Sunday Super Bowl Special.
Well, we caught up with Eugene Robinson on Bourbon Street in New Orleans. You're going to hear Paul Moyer's exclusive interview with Gene in just a few minutes here on Q13 NFL Sunday. There's a sense of irony permeating through New England Patriots headquarters as Super Bowl 31 approaches. Coach Bill Parcells, who's turned the organization around in 4 short years, will likely be leaving New England to become the new head coach of the New York Jets. Parcells has been tight-lipped about his future, but his agent has been very vocal. Parcells and Patriots owner Bob Kraft tried to diffuse their differences with a public show of solidarity earlier this week, but that bombed. A shame for New England to lose its head coach. Parcells is a proven winner, 10-4 in the postseason with 2 Super Bowl titles. His 1986 Giants and his 1990 Giants were championship teams. This is a baffling type of move as far as I'm concerned.
I tell you what's going to be really funny if this is one of the great ploys of all time to diffuse the media away from his team. And if this becomes a hoax, we're all in for a great laugh when this is over.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the case. Actually, Bill Parcells can only coach for the New England Patriots if he coaches next year. He had a year taken off his contract, but in that year of 1997, they don't want him to coach. No one but the Patriots. However, things have gotten so bad, guys, with him and Bob, that no one believes Bob Kraft's going to hold him to that. He's just going to take some money from him and let him go.
It sure looks like he's history in New England. And speaking of history, we've all had a chance to take in some of the historic landmarks here in New Orleans this week. And Graz, you had a chance to go on a bit of a walking tour.
Well, I'll tell you, we think we've got a fascinating history in Seattle. It doesn't even come close to New Orleans. We've given you a little taste of it with the French Quarter and Bourbon Street. You got to throw in a little bit of voodoo, and you find one of the most bizarre cities in all of America. The city of New Orleans is probably the most historic city in all of North America. French engineers were laying out the French Quarter more than a half a century before the Declaration of Independence was written. It is a city of contradictions. Start with the famous French Quarter. It's really Spanish. Yes, I know I said the French laid it out in the early 1700s, but after Spain took control in the mid-1700s, the quarter burned to the ground a couple of times and was rebuilt with a Spanish feel. During the War of 1812, New Orleans figured in a prominent battle. General Andrew Jackson, Old Hickory, commanded U.S. troops located near the Mississippi River at Chalmette, just outside of town. Jackson's troops were outnumbered by the British regiment commanded by General Edward Pakenham, so much so that Old Hickory employed the services of the noted French smuggler Jean Lafitte. In late December of 1814, Andrew Jackson emerged from the structure here, found the British on one side, his troops on the other side. A couple of skirmishes, but nothing was decided. That is not until January the 8th of 1815, when Jackson's army scored a decisive victory here in New Orleans. The irony is the War of 1812 had already ended a couple of weeks earlier. They just hadn't gotten word to him down here yet. The Battle of New Orleans lasted all of 2 hours. The British reported over 2,000 casualties. Jackson's troops only 13. Less than 50 years later, the city was again at the center of a great battle, the American Civil War. In April of 1862, Admiral David Farragut steamed up the Mississippi, the Big Muddy, and the Crescent City now fell under Union rule. In April of 1862, when Farragut's troops took over New Orleans, General Benjamin Butler was put in charge. One of the first things he did was to add this ledger to the statue of Andrew Jackson, "The Union must and shall be preserved." You might imagine that really infuriated the people of New Orleans, especially the women living in the apartment right over to our right here, the Portobello Apartments. Women were dumping chamber pots on Union soldiers, and General Butler decided drastic action was in order. General Butler implemented infamous Order Number 28, which stated that if the women of New Orleans didn't stop harassing his soldiers, that they would be treated as ladies of the evening, plying their avocation. The South was outraged. So was the North. Butler was soon reassigned, but actually it was Ben Beast Butler who cleaned up the French Quarter, stopping the massive outbreaks of yellow fever that plagued the city and killed thousands over a 12-year span. Sure, there's a traditional history, but New Orleans is probably best known for its bizarre history. Here the graves are above the ground, and you'll find people like voodoo priestess Marie Laveau buried. As you can see, she's not forgotten.
This city really casts a spell on you, doesn't it, guys? Uh-oh, we've lost Graz. Dave. And by the way, what happened to that voodoo doll you guys were messing around with in that little shop on Bourbon Street?
Why do you think your back keeps hurting you all the time? You keep falling down.
Good point.
And more importantly, remember you had more hair when you started here.
Hey, no hair jokes. Coming up on the Q13 NFL Sunday Super Bowl special, we're going to see Paul's exclusive interview with former Seahawk Eugene Robinson. He's becoming something of a cheesehead. Downtown New Orleans, Louisiana, about as festive a place as you'll ever see, all aglow on Super Bowl Eve. The pictures coming from the Bud 1 airship, which brings us a glimpse-eye view of the Crescent City. Captain Steve Adams at the helm. Well, the most recognizable figure in the New Orleans skyline is the Louisiana Superdome. Looks a bit like a pancake version of the Satsep nuclear reactor in Southwest Washington. The reaction it's causing this week is almost $250 million in economic impact to the city of New Orleans. The Louisiana Superdome was the second dome stadium constructed in the United States and has become the most efficient. It's hosted the largest indoor concert crowd, a papal visit by Pope John Paul II, a Republican National Convention, a trio of NCAA basketball championships, the Final Four, and will see its 8th Super Bowl game tomorrow. It averages 250 event days a year, with one primary tenant, the New Orleans Saints, accounting for only 10 of them. The Kingdome and the Louisiana Superdome are contemporaries, both built in the early 1970s, both built to house professional football teams, conventions, and trade shows. But that's where the comparison ends. The Louisiana Superdome seats 72,000 for football, the Kingdome 66,000 and change. Both buildings have hosted a trio of Final Fours, but here's the most staggering statistic. Though it cost more to build, the Superdome has been operating in the black the past 3 years, embarking on continual maintenance, Well, the Kingdome has developed a debt to the tune of $130 million.
Well, before it was built, there was great criticism. A lot of people thought it was a boondoggle. A lot of people said spend money by increasing the pay of the police, that it's not worth a darn. And there was strong opposition from different political segments. Literally, in my column, I supported the idea because I thought it was great. You know? We had an 80,000 seat two-lane stadium, and people said that's all you needed. But some people here were visionaries, and they saw what it was going to look like in the 20th century.
You slept in a hotel last night. You helped pay the Superdome's bonded indebtedness off. When the building first opened, we probably had 10,000 hotel rooms in the city, and it cost you maybe $38 a night to stay in a hotel room. Well, you're paying maybe $238, and there's 28,000 hotel rooms within walking distance of the building.
The Kingdome has had its share of the spotlight, but unfortunately, a lot of it has been negative of late. The roof renovation project contributed to the debt, and the Seahawks' potential new owner, Paul Allen, says he wants a new outdoor stadium for the team.
One pitch on the way to Edgar Martinez, swung on and line down the left field line for a base hit.
The Mariners drew over $2.7 million last season and could be used as a success story, but they will move into a new ballpark in 1999.
I happen to like the Kingdome. It's close, and I love football played there. But today, the fan wants comfort. The corporate money is needed to make things go. But most of all, a modern stadium today needs the box suites, and it needs to be versatile enough to handle trade shows and conventions and things like that. Because if you build a stadium for 15 games a year or whatever it is, it's not going to make it financially.
The Superdome is making it financially and aesthetically, with wide concourses, plenty of restrooms, and accessible vendors. So good is business that New Orleans has broken ground on a new 18,000-seat basketball arena next door to the Superdome. They hope the $84 million arena will hasten a return of the NBA. You know, guys, this is my first trip to New Orleans. When I walked to the Superdome for the first time, I understood why Paul Allen and Ken Behring and the Mariners want a new building in Seattle.
I'll tell you, the amazing thing about the Superdome, Keith, this building was built before the Kingdome. For a lot of the domes that are out there. Yet the Kingdome might be torn down, the Pontiac Silverdome's going to be torn down. Same thing maybe in Minnesota, and the Superdome just keeps going. It's really a unique building when you think about it.
You know, they also have this New Orleans Center, which was supposed to be the convention center. It's now a mall and a Hyatt hotel in there. This thing can really support a Super Bowl.
And to give you some kind of an idea of how big the Superdome is, boy, walk inside there and look up at the sky and realize you can fit the Kingdome inside of that building, fly a Cessna around, and you won't hit anything. It's huge. You know, it's been 29 years since the Packers played in the Super Bowl, but they were here for the first two. Super Bowl I, January 1967. The Packers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Green Bay's Bart Starr earned Most Valuable Player honors. Max McGee caught a pair of touchdown passes from Starr, this 37-yard effort, and later a 13-yard grab. And Elijah Pitts ran for a couple of touchdowns from 1 and 5 yards away. It was the only Super Bowl game that did not sell out. 61,000 and change watched the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. Vince Lombardi and the Packers were back to defend their title the following year. Starr repeated as the game's MVP, and Herb Adderley's 60-yard interception return for a touchdown was one of the game's most memorable plays. Green Bay had won 3 straight NFL championships, 5 during the decade of the 60s. 33-14 the final, a decisive victory over the John Rauch-coached Oakland Raiders, and it was Lombardi's last game as coach of the Packers. Now, New England made its one and only appearance in the Super Bowl here in New Orleans, 1986, the year of the Bears. Not much to celebrate for the Patriots. Jim McMahon in Chicago rolled up 44 points in the first 3 quarters. At the time, it was the most lopsided victory in Super Bowl history. Gentlemen, the one link between these two teams is a guy named Jim McMahon.
Oh yeah, back there with the Bears, he was the old punky QB. He mooned all the photographers that were here that came over in a helicopter. Remember, he had a little problem with his derriere in that one. And as we saw in media day, Paul, he hasn't changed too much, and he's having an influence, isn't he?
Well, a very small influence, and the only influence I saw was Brett Favre came out with sunglasses.
That's, I guess, enough of an influence. If it chills you out a little bit and gets you ready for Super Bowl 31, it'll work. We are in New Orleans for the Super Bowl, and coming up next, Paul's visit on Bourbon Street with Green Bay safety Eugene Robinson. And as we go to our break, the sights and sounds of the Crescent City, the Big Easy, through the eyes of our videographers Keith Bride and Jim Erskine.
Thank you so much.
Get it by!
Set location for Q13 NFL Sunday, provided by the New Orleans Hard Rock Cafe. Coming up tonight on Q13 Fox, back-to-back episodes of Cops begins at 8. At 9, John Walsh is here with America's Most Wanted. America Fights Back. At 10, an NFL film special you won't want to miss, Road to the Super Bowl. And at 11 o'clock, join us for Mad TV. That's all coming up tonight on Q13 Fox. Well, the entire Q13 NFL Sunday team is here in New Orleans at the Hard Rock Cafe, getting ready for Super Bowl 31. And our buddy Paul Moyer played a couple of years in the National Football League. He has a special friendship with Eugene Robinson, who will achieve a lifelong dream tomorrow when he plays in the Super Bowl.
You know, I had an opportunity to play alongside Eugene and later coach him when I was with Knox and Tom Flory's staff with the Seahawks. All his teammates that have played with him, and really anybody who's ever met Eugene Robinson, is living this experience through him in Super Bowl 31. It's been quite a trip for the Packers' Eugene Robinson. 2 years ago, he lay still on the floor of the Astrodome. His Achilles had snapped. Just 8 months later, he was rehabilitated, showing his old form. Robinson finished second to Terry Wooden in tackles and didn't miss a play all year. Sometimes your destiny is in other people's hands. When the Seahawks traded him to Green Bay for Matt LeBounty last spring, he put a positive spin on it, thanking the Seattle fans. The Seahawks front office pinned its future on Darrell Williams, and the team's longest tenured defensive back was shown the door. Had he lost a step? Mike Holmgren and the Packers didn't think so. As he was in Seattle, Robinson has become a spiritual and an emotional leader on this team of destiny.
My question was, he's played a long time, can he still run? Defensive backs have got to be able to run. And as soon as we thought he still had his legs, that was an easy thing to do, to bring him in. And he has been outstanding for us. And again, he's one of those guys like Reggie. We have a number of those fellows on our team that, if it's possible, they're better people off the field than they are football players, and they're great players, so they're outstanding individuals, and Eugene's one of those guys.
It's kind of everything I imagined, with all that hype and all the craziness, and we're down here in New Orleans, and if you guys could pan, they probably could pan out through here. My goodness, this is like New York. It's a city that don't sleep.
Reggie White, yourself, it's an incredibly spiritual team. I hear lots of players talking about God. Talk about just the closeness and the bond you have in this team.
We got leaders like Reggie White, Don Beebe, Keith Jackson, myself. We'll kind of lead the different Bible studies that we do on Saturday nights and whatnot. And we have a real good time, and we talk about real issues that we face. Our coaching staff, the coaches go to chapel service and mass. And so from that standpoint, you got a lot of guys who get the chance to hear the word of God. And the first thing Doug and I talked about, we said, man, isn't this unusual? Because that normally doesn't happen.
Well, it's definitely a barn. Now you're here in Bourbon Street, New Orleans. Is this a distraction, or is this a chance for a forum for you?
It's Reggie White's been reminding us all week long is that we get to increase our platform, that we get to brag about God, and if we win the Super Bowl, it just lends itself to get more people in the kingdom, but because people follow winners for some reason. Right. God has chosen to bless this team for whatever reason. Whatever he does is right. We can't separate us Christians from being football players. We are actually basically Christians who happen to play football, and God is just using us right now.
Has practice been status quo? Are you guys doing anything different this week? And more importantly, you said, are you ready for the game? And is that what this is all about? Is it the hype leading up to it, or is it the game?
This is the last game, and we got to seize the moment. Because that's the one thing we've been talking about. Hey, let's not waste any, don't waste any reps out here. Let's get it done, get our work done, so that when we're out there, clockwork. It's moving, it's moving, it's moving.
Patriot got Drew Bledsoe, Northwest flavor. They got a running back, Curtis Martin, who reminds me of C-Dub.
Doesn't he?
I mean, he runs like C-Dub.
He does.
Let's go ahead and talk about the team you're going to face Sunday.
You got a nice cutback runner. You got really quick moves. We're going to be on turf, so, hey, we got those gaps, man. We cannot let Curtis Martin go out there and get his groove on, because if he does, he will hurt you. And also with Drew Bledsoe, a true pocket quarterback like a la Dan Marino. He stays in the pocket, and that's when he's most effective. If you get him out of the pocket, even though he can run, he's not like Steve Young, who's going to hurt you, or Brett Favre, who can still hurt you. He's best in the pocket, so we got to collapse that pocket on him. We can't give him time to sit back there and, oh, I got this receiver. No, I got this receiver. Well, that has to be out. We got to go ahead and take and seize the moment. In defense, I think it's going to be on us that we go ahead and these guys can put a lot of points on the board. We can't get them on the board.
Do you guys feel like you're the best team in the NFL?
I hope so. I hope we can prove it this week that, that we can be counted as one of the best teams, and that we can create a little dynasty like they used to have in the old Packer history, and also the dynasty that, San Francisco, the Dallases, and the Oaklands have acquired, for winning and being a winning team. I think this team is destined for that type of greatness, and I think this may be the start of it. And I'm just glad I'm around to be part of the start of it. So,
Gene, all of a sudden we got cheese heads up in the Northwest. We're wearing the hat sideways, front ways, and all of a sudden we got green. The blue is out.
I know.
And you know what, Gene? You're a big reason for it, man.
Man, you know what? This cheesehead phenomenon is like caught across the country. Somebody asked me, are we becoming an American team? I don't know, but I see a lot of cheeseheads wherever we go. We went to Tampa. We had about 25,000 fans in the stands. Minnesota, Detroit. It was almost 60-40. Went to Seattle. We might have had about 20,000, 25,000 fans in the stand. Easy. I've received so many calls and letters from the people in Seattle wishing me well. Thanks for the time in Seattle, and go get a Super Bowl. You deserve it, and things like this. And I wanted to say to those fans, thank you very, very much, because I've been well received in Seattle and well received in Green Bay.
Gene, I appreciate it.
Hey, it's always a pleasure, my brother.
Be good, and wish you the best this Sunday.
Okay.
And Eugene Robinson, not only did the Packers get a great leader, they got a playmaker. Eugene is a leader in career interceptions among active players.
Paul, I really enjoyed your piece on Eugene, and you see how infectious this guy's attitude really is. It's no surprise, Dave, the Packers have taken it up a notch.
No, not at all. And Eugene Robinson, you get a great character guy, too. On a team full of great leaders already like Reggie White, interesting that so quickly he comes in and becomes one of those leaders. But let's face it, there's not a team in the NFL that Eugene Robinson couldn't play for, except maybe the Seahawks.
I didn't say that.
Okay, guys, time for Super Bowl trivia now, presented by Future Shop. And here is the question. Who has appeared in more Super Bowl games than any other player or coach?
Easy. Dan Reeves.
Dan Reeves, okay.
One of my Dallas Cowboys.
When?
Was in there twice as a player. 3 times as an assistant coach with the Cowboys, 3 as the head coach of the Denver Broncos.
How many rings does he have?
Winning rings, he's got 2. 1 as a player, 1 as an assistant with the Cowboys.
This guy's pretty good.
No. You are the man.
How can I be the man when
you're the man? No, you're the man in trivia.
Trivia, yes. If only that could have been in the NFL experience.
True enough.
Then I would have won something.
I won, by the way.
Hey, you did not. We're coming back to New Orleans in 2 minutes on the Q13 NFL Sunday Super Bowl Special.
Hi, Seattle. I love you, man. Keep dry.
Thank you very much. That'll work.
Yeah.
I think he was blowing that kiss at this guy, Moyer.
Well, if you remember the Jacksonville Jaguar who kissed the garage, I think we're in this direction.
That's right, Keith. Transvestites and mascots go for me. He gets girls from the bold and the beautiful.
That's right.
3 years ago, the thought of a fourth network carrying the Super Bowl was, well, laughable, but no more. Q13 Fox has been with Fox since its birth back in 1987, and tomorrow will cap a year like no other, bringing you the Stanley Cup Championship, the World Series, and now the Super Bowl. Fox will employ a Super Bowl record 29 cameras, 25 videotape replay machines, 6 of them with super slow-mo, and of course, a blimp. The telecast will be seen throughout the United States on Fox and in more than 100 countries around the world.
You talk about this game, and the biggest separation, I think, in all sports is between the winner of the Super Bowl and the loser of the Super Bowl. I mean, the winner of the Super Bowl, they have parades, they're the world champion, they get rings, they're on television. They got the losers, you don't even remember who the hell they are.
Now, guys, let's examine this game. Let's start with the Patriots.
Well, the Patriots, there's 2 keys to this game for them. Number one, it's Drew Bledsoe. Drew Bledsoe has got to have the game of his life. The good news for New England is he's capable of having a great game. He's got an excellent supporting cast in Terry Glenn, Curtis Martin, Ben Oates, and Sean Jefferson. Quick strike capability. On their defensive side, they're a very consistent, structured defense that plays a great zone defense. But the key is keeping Brett Favre in the pocket. If they can keep Brett Favre from scrambling around and buying time, they're going to be effective against the offense. But if Brett Favre gets out of the pocket and buys time, that's when the zones break down. And I guarantee you this, Brett Favre will find those spots and he'll rip the Patriots defense apart.
And Willie McGinnis talked about just that with us on Q13 NFL Sunday.
I think, first of all, what we need to do is stop the run. So their run game presents the problem. If the run games get started, it's going to be a long day. If we stop Edgar Bennett, now has to take control. And I think he's one of the leaders. He rallies that team. When needed, he steps up for that team.
Every player gets butterflies, you know. I got bats, you know. It's like, you know, and you're nervous, you know. It's just the fact, you know, the anticipation of the game, the magnitude of the game, and, you know, it's definitely, you know, the biggest game of everybody's careers.
Okay, so that's the Patriots' perspective. Grouse, how about the Packers?
Keith, normally you don't like to rely on numbers to tell you what you think is going to happen in a football game, but I think we can in this case. One statistic's got to jump out at you. The Green Bay Packers this year led the National Football League in scoring. They also led the National Football League in giving up the fewest points. The last team to do those two things in one season, the 1972 Miami Dolphins, the fixed season team. Green Bay is coming into this game loaded for bear. I think the fact that they've got some veterans with more experience that are so hungry for this game makes a difference. The only chink in their armor I can possibly see is that Brett Favre can start a little slowly. He certainly did in the Carolina game. The only matchup I like New England in this one is at left tackle, where Bruce Armstrong may have an edge over Sean Jones. Like Paul said, running the ball is key for both teams. Packers ran it for over 200 yards against a Carolina defense that was among the toughest in the NFL to run against last year. This game's non-test, Paul. Green Bay in a rout.
You're lost. Trivia expert you are, but an analyst, you're lousy at.
Oh, sure.
And here's why. Last week they did have a chance to go against the Panthers. The Panthers are a gambling team. You know, they're lost because they gambled, and Packers exploited it. Right now, though, you've got the best defense in the league playing, and that's a Patriot defense. It's going to be a very close game, but I think Bledsoe's going to shine. He's going to go to Terry Glenn a few times. I see an upset in this.
I don't see any chance of that happening, Paul. It's hard for me to believe that a guy could play the game is so bad at talking about what happens in the game.
Monday.
Okay, guys, okay.
All right.
Brett Favre would like to add a Super Bowl ring to that Most Valuable Player award he received last year in this.
This would be, I think, equally as big as winning 2 MVPs. I mean, winning an MVP is awesome. It really is. It means you're the best player in the world in football. But it's hard to say that in the Super Bowl how it would feel. I know it would be the biggest thing that's ever happened to me in my career.
New England's a great team, and they wouldn't be here if they weren't. And especially as of late, I mean, they're playing unbelievable. I think their defense hasn't allowed a lot of points. And really, these last couple of weeks, they're the hot team around.
So Mark Chmura thinks the Patriots are the hottest team around. How about that?
Oh, come on, Keith. A little gamesmanship. I mean, come on. That's all that
is. Is he
is.
a player? You called me a player? Say I didn't know what I was talking about?
He is a player. He didn't say the Patriots are going to win. He
guys.
just said they were hot.
You know, I'll tell you what
just 19 hours away. The Packers and Patriots will tee it up tomorrow in New Orleans here on Q13 Fox. We're coming back with our Play of the Year in just a couple of...
Q13 NFL Sunday Super Bowl Special is being brought to you by your Puget Sound Lexus dealer, who invites you to test drive a Lexus today. By Future Shop Discount Superstores. By Jack in the Box Restaurants. Watch out, Mac, Jack's back. And by your Northwest Dodge dealers.
And this is the Northwest Dodge Dealers Play of the Year. We had to show you at least one Seahawk highlight, our Super Bowl special. And here it is against Houston at the Kingdome. Game-winning field goal, blocked by Michael McCrary. He wisely gave it up to someone with better wheels. Robert Blackman raced down the sideline for 6. And it's our Northwest Dodge Dealers Play of the Year. We're in the Big Easy, New Orleans, Louisiana, known for its French Quarter, Bourbon Street, Cajun food, and of course, cheeseheads. Cheeseheads. What do you think of that Play of the Year, guys?
It was on my Moyer Moments. I love that play. It was really one of the last highlights for the Seahawks.
I'd say the last highlight for the Seahawks. McCrary afterwards was so funny because he said, yeah, everyone figured he gave it to Robert Blackman because he was faster. He said, no, he was screaming so much I thought I gave him the ball. I'm actually faster than him. But as Paul knows, not a defensive lineman alive that's faster than a defensive back.
I tell you, Mike McCrary might be.
He is quick.
He's that fast, and in a 40-yard dash, I don't want to take anything away from Robert Blackman, but I might put my money on McCrary.
Well, guys, it's the Packers, who are 15-3, and the New England Patriots, who are 13-5. They tee it up in Super Bowl 31 tomorrow afternoon here on Q13 Fox. The last time these two clubs met, 1994 in Foxborough. Drew Bledsoe tossed 2 touchdown passes, both of them to Vincent Brisby. Bledsoe's numbers in that game, 29 of 53 for 334 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. The Patriots drove 45 yards in the last minute, 14 seconds to set up Matt Barr's 33-yard game-winning field goal, and the Patriots won it by a 17-16 count. Gentlemen, time now for our vaunted Super Bowl predictions, and it's easy for me. I love you, Robinson. I want to see the guy win a Super Bowl before he's done. I'm going with the Packers.
You know it. Packers in a rout.
What?
Packers in a rout?
What are you talking about? Before we discussed about... All right, New England by 3. I mean, but I don't even feel that way. I think Packers in a rout. Absolute blowout.
Yeah, this would be one of the more monumental upsets should New England win this
Actually,
game.
the second biggest of all time. The only one bigger was when the Jets knocked off that 18-point deficit and beat the Colts, Keith. Vikings, Kansas City the following year. Kansas City 12.5-point underdog. This would be the second biggest ever.
For the record, we want to see Drew Bledsoe play well and all those Washingtonians have a great time, but we think Eugene deserves to get that ring after playing 11 years in Seattle. I think you're with us on that one. We're proud to be bringing you our first Super Bowl tomorrow here on Q13 Fox. Coverage begins tomorrow morning at 10 with the all-time All-Madden Team Special. The Super Bowl pregame show begins at 11:30. Packers and Patriots kick it off at 3:18 p.m. Pacific time at the Superdome here in New Orleans. And stick around for postgame interviews and the presentation of the Lombardi Trophy following the game. It's a big day of football right here on Q13 Fox. Those of you who surf the net can learn more about our journey through the Big Easy by dialing us up at www.kcpq.com. Gentlemen, we've had a great time in the Big Easy. It's been a delight working with you this year. Thanks for all your hard work, and we're looking forward to 1997 already.
I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the guys behind the cameras we don't get to see, who have done an
Exactly.
amazing job here all week long.
No question. I tell you what, really, for the Gross and I, we showed up. You guys told us what to do. We spoke, and I just want to thank my wife for being here with me, and I miss my kids. Other than that, it's been a great time.
Let's have fun watching Super Bowl 31 tomorrow. We'll leave you with some of the more unusual sights and sounds of the Big Easy. Thanks for joining us this season on Q13 NFL Sunday.
You're watching Q13 Super Bowl Sunday. Super Bowl Sunday.
That's all right. You're watching Q13 NFL.
Our souvenir cups, and we're going to tell all our friends that we paid $20 a piece for these cups.
But they were all
You're watching Q13 Super Bowl Sunday.
Hey, Tacoma, Seattle, welcome to Bourbon Street.
That'll work.
It's your Lady of Rose.
There are 700 million people going to watch the game on Sunday. But unfortunately for them, they're not here. Watching Q13 NFL Sunday Super Bowl special. Go Green Bay! We nailed it. Thank you.
This is Q13 Fox, home of Super Bowl 31.